Almost every day there would be some sort of violent interaction on the streets.
This was late 1978, early 1979, and the Islamic Revolution was gaining momentum as raucous demonstrations engulfed Iran. In the streets of Tehran and beyond, protesters clamored for the return of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the spiritual head of Iran's Shiite Muslim majority, who had spent years in exile. Despite the backing of the United States, it wasn't clear how long the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, would be able to cling to power. A monarchy that had survived for 2,500 years felt precariously close to collapsing. An Islamic Republic was poised to seize power.
Sometimes the firing was in the air, sometimes the firing was directly onto people. And of course, for every person shot in the street, instead of suppressing, this would lead to further agitation as people came out looking for revenge.
Reed was part of a team of AP reporters in Iran. They navigated gunfire, Molotov cocktails, and fiery barricades as they chased the story. One that would color American relations with Iran and shape the Middle East that we know today. No surprise, it was a dangerous assignment, and covering the uprising posed its share of challenges.
We had very difficult problems communicating from Tehran back to AP headquarters in New York. We had a teletype circuit that worked erratically. A lot of the communication was in fact by telephone, but that was problematic too. It would often take us several hours of dialing just to get one call through.
That meant approaching strangers with phone lines that worked. It also meant an opportunity to venture out and do more reporting.
All of the Khomeini supporters were fueled by cassette tapes of Khomeini speeches, which were smuggled in from Paris. We imagine these days that you can't have a revolution without the internet, that people can't communicate. Khomeini had no trouble at all communicating with his followers, who were listening to everyone as they arrived and were duplicated by his supporters.
If the story was in the streets, so were the risks, because political violence and anti-Western sentiment were around every corner. Many foreign correspondents learned about these dangers on the job.
On one occasion, there were some machine gun wielding people up on top of a building, and they were firing down at the street below. I had no idea what group they were, but they were obviously on one side or another side of the revolutionary movement, and it occurred to me that it would be interesting to know who they are and go up and talk to them. So I climbed up a ladder on the side of the building to talk to these people as they were firing. And not surprisingly, the other side down in the street started firing up at them. So there I was with them, cowering behind a little concrete wall on the roof, which felt like it was about 6 inches high, as we took incoming fire. And I was thinking, gee, is this really worth it?
The protests picked up in the middle of January. Word circulated that the Shah, secretly ill with cancer, was about to leave for a quote-unquote vacation. Many doubted he would return. Reed readily recalls that day.
The whole press pool had been turned back at the airport without explanation. We had no idea what was going on. And so there was considerable speculation as to, what's happened? Did the Shah change his mind? Has there been a coup? What's going on here? Has the Shah been, in effect, arrested by the military?
Confusion ensued among the correspondents as they called sources. It wasn't clear if the Shah had actually left.
And the chancellor said, when he said he is gone, he meant he'd left the building. He hasn't left the country. So we all lunged for the 2 phones in the office to try to call New York back, and there was nothing, no line, dead lines, couldn't get through. And we tried and tried and tried and tried. We all 3 looked at each other and thought, ooh, there goes a promising career.
For a monumental scoop, the news came a bit early, but careers weren't shattered. The Shah, along with his family, had indeed fled to Egypt amid roars of euphoria. 2 weeks later, the Islamic Revolution would take another turn. In the next episode of Revolution in Iran, Khomeini comes back, a monarchy falls, and the Islamic Revolution is realized.